Okay, this week Parashat Ekev. It's very interesting that we have two parashot for Shema Israel, the mitzvah of Shema Israel that we do every day. One parasha is in Sefer Ve'etchanan, Parashat Ve'etchanan, and one parasha here is with Parashat Ekev. Now, Rashi asked, the parasha of, first parasha in Ve'etchanan starts with Shema Israel, with the Yichud of Hashem, and that parasha just talks about the Yichud of Hashem, Ahvat Hashem, and mitzvot. It doesn't talk about rain, it doesn't talk about parnasa, it doesn't talk about punishment, nothing. The second parasha is this parasha, and this parasha starts with L'haya im shamua tishmeu. It says that if you listen to HaKadosh Baruch Hu mitzvot Hashem, Enriching etchem hayom, that I commanded you to love Hashem, and this parasha talks about having rain, having parnasa, and then HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, if you keep mitzvot well, if you don't keep mitzvot, I send you to exile, and you are not going to have rain, and you're going to be suffering, and then you get back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you do the mitzvot again. Now it's very interesting. The Farshim asks, what is it that we have one parasha that just talks about Torah mitzvot? This parasha talks about, having parnasa. It starts with im. What is it? They say that in Mishkan we had two cherubim, only two cherubim, which was on the Aron. We have seen the picture that two cherubim on the Aron, but in Bet HaMikdash it wasn't just two cherubim. In Bet HaMikdash were four cherubim. In other words, in Mishkan we had the cherubim like this. See, two cherubim on the Aron, only two cherubim. In Bet HaMikdash we had four cherubim. Two cherubim like Mishkan on the Aron, and two cherubim on the floor. They had feet on the floor and all over, and the wing would spread out all of the Bet HaMikdash, all of the scene of Bet HaMikdash. One this way, one that way, and would cover it. Now, Zohar HaKadosh says, how come in Midbar, Mishkan, we had only two cherubim? Although usually the Mishkan and Bet HaMikdash, everything is the same, basically. But this is a very major difference. That in Mishkan we had only two cherubim on the top of the Aron. In Bet HaMikdash we had four, two on top of Aron, and two, the feet were on the floor, and the wings were spread out all over and covered basically the Bet HaMikdash. Now before Hashem say what's Pshat, Hashem said this is these two parashot of Shema. In other words, in Midbar, the conduct of HaKadosh Baruch Hu with Klal Israel were Nisi, everything miracle. Everything was only talking about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There wasn't any parnasa, they didn't have to work, they didn't have to do anything. Everything was provided for them to do man. They had food to eat, and they just have to be Obed Hashem. But when they came to Israel, the Klal Israel divided two portions. One Klal Israel, one part segment of Klal Israel working in Mishkan, doing Avodat Hashem. The other one had to plow, had to plant, to work, to do things, and to get parnasa. Now these two parashot are signifies these two segments of Klal Israel. Now if you notice, there's a major difference between the first parasha and second parasha. The first parasha of Shema, everything was said in singular form. So I said, Ve'ahavta, you should love. Ukshartem, you should tie them. Matam, you. All talking about one. This parasha, like Rashi points out, B'chol Levychaim, B'chol nafshechem, your hearts, your soul, Im shamu atishmeu, you, as a plural form. And artzechem, your land, Yishamru lachem, watch yourself, Levychaim, V'sartem, V'avatem, all talks about in plural form. Not singular form, plural form. And there is a major difference between first parasha and second parasha. First parasha says you should love HaKadosh Baruch Hu with all your money. But second parasha doesn't say all your money. It says your heart and your soul. It doesn't say money. Therefore, Mefarshim points out that the first parasha is talking about very yachidim, very unique people, that all their avodah is avodat Hashem, even if they work, but all point of working is only Avodat HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The main parasha by them is Yichud Hashem and keeping Torah mitzvot. The Rosh Hashiva, my Rosh Hashiva, Rabbi Hudra Zichron Racha, used to say, there are some Chavrei Kollel, they learn in Kollel, but they are businessmen. There are some businessmen that are Chavrei Kollel. How is it possible? There are some Chavrei Kollel that they have some type of business at night, but all day they are thinking about the business. All day they get up in the middle of learning to make phone calls here, phone calls there. I should talk to him about business, I should talk to him about business. And all day the mind works in business. Physically they are in Beit Midrash, but the mind is by the business. They are Chavrei Kollel, that are really businessmen. There are some businessmen that they learn 2, 3, 4 hours at night during the week. But all day, all week, they are thinking about what they are learning. What do I learn? How could I learn better? How could I do it better? All think about the question, the answer, and the thirst of going back to shiur, thirst of finding 5 minutes to learn, thirst of, I want to learn more. I want the love and dedication. All day they are thinking about what they learn, to practice it and to put in action and to find a better answer, to find a better understanding. There are businessmen that they are really Chavrei Kollel, because the mind, the person is not in a place that physically is. Person is the place that the mind is. The mind is working in Torah, the person is in Torah, surrounded by Torah. And that is the first parasha and second parasha. And the determination is money. How much love of money is there? First parasha is people that they could override money. They could overcome money. Money is not obstacle for them. Money is resolved by them. Therefore, they love HaKadosh Baruch Hu more than that. Their life is the life of the first parasha. Yichud of Hashem, Torah, and mitzvot. Second parasha, money is a challenge. Money could touch. Money could have impact. Therefore, the impression and the impact of Avodat Hashem is not like the first parasha, the Yichud is first. First, this parasha is also it's conditional. I know, money is challenge, it's struggling. But if you shamu adishmahu, if you overcome, and in this parasha, Torah doesn't say ve'ahavta, it says le'ahava et Hashem rekechem. In this parasha it says ul-ovdo, you should serve him. The first parasha didn't say serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because all of his life is serving Hashem. Hashem doesn't have to tell such a person to serve me, because all of the life is the mark of serving. But this person that the life is a struggle, the money is a struggle for him, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, be careful. Don't forget my avodah. At least love Hashem, serve Hashem. At least serve Hashem with full heart and full soul. The money is a struggle, but at least have your heart, your soul in it. Then HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I give I give you parnasa. First parasha that's talking about parnasa. The berach of Hashem comes. It's not part of the deal, right? But the person has whatever that he needs. Now it's very interesting. In the parasha of Tzibur, that talks about Chal Yisrael, says the pasuk says, I give matar artzechem b'margosh, I give matar rain be'artzechem, your land, as a plural form, but it says v'asafta as a singular. You should gather. What happened? This parasha is parasha of Tzibur, parasha of the all together, all Chal Yisrael. How come it changed from Tzibur, from the Tzibur to Yachid, to singular? Because very interesting psychology and hashgacha of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Even in the parasha of Tzibur, parasha that talks about everybody together, some dinim, some hilchot stays as individual. We can't make it blanket for everybody. It's not a uniform. Parnasa depends on the emunah of a person. We can't say parnasa of all Kahal, even man. When man came from HaKadosh Baruch Hu for all Kahal Yisrael, it didn't come the same way. By a Sadiq was next door. Less Sadiq 1 mile away. Less Sadiq 10 miles away. Therefore, you're going to gather according to your emunah, faith to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, according to what you are with Hashem. Then again, I give grass, that's again singular. You should watch Hashem, and Hashem gets angry. Sometimes you should put on an unbelievable point. When he gets to mitzvah mezuzah, In other words, the mitzvah of learning Torah becomes plural. The mitzvah of tefillin becomes plural. It says v'limatem otam. Mitzvah of tefillin becomes plural. It says uchshartem otam. You as plural. When it gets to mitzvah of mezuzah, it says uchtabtam al mezuzah betecha v'sharich. Unbelievable point. In the parasha that everything talks about to all Kahal Israel, when it gets to mezuzah, it doesn't say uchtabtem otam. You plural should write it. Them. It says uchtabtam. You should write them singular. Everything changes except mitzvah mezuzah. Now Mefarshim say why? Why mitzvah mezuzah doesn't become plural form? Because they say why mitzvah mezuzah said the Lashon uchtabtam you should write. Mitzvah mezuzah should be said ukvatem. Why is it uchtabtam you should write? Should be ukvatem. You should fix mezuzah. Now they say every store has a sign on the top of the store. The sign says what happens in the store. If the store has a sign for electrical appliances, you can't go and buy tomato from there, potato from there. It's electrical appliances, not fruits and vegetables. The sign modifies what happens inside. Now Torah is telling us, mezuzah is a sign of home. Mezuzah is telling us what's happening in this house. Now the real writer of the mezuzah is not the sofer who wrote the mezuzah. Mezuzah are the parashot that talks about Yichud of Hashem, mitzvot of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is mezuzah. Now who really writes the mezuzah? Those who live in that house. Those who live in the house, that home, with their attitude, with the talking, with the way that they deal with the children, with wife, with that they deal with everything, the way that they deal with themselves. Nobody sees them, nobody is there, but Hashem sees it. The way that they deal with themselves, they are the writers of mezuzah. How much kedusha is in the mezuzah of a home depends on the attitude in this house. What's the type of attitude? What type of things are there? All of the bracha of a person comes from his home. What type of home he has? What's the attitude in the home? Very interesting. As a rabbi, a lot of times you find two doctors married each other, very educated people, and you become very happy. You say, wow, they have Torah, they have mitzvot, they have education, high education. But when it comes to find out what's happening in their home, these two educated people and Toradic, the way that they talk to each other, the way that they deal with each other, the way abusive and the system and everything is unbelievable. You find them so fine, so with prestige and kavod and respect outside of the home, and come and see what happens at home. What is it? Torah tells us the deepest psychology of a person. You get to know a person through his mezuzah. Is a sign that he has at home, not the way that he deals with the society and outside. The real description of a person is the way that he deals with at home. His file is written in his own mezuzah. Person writes his own mezuzah with his own attitude, with his own, the way that he lives, the way that he conducts home, he writes his own mezuzah. Now, even though that this parasha talks about all congregation, all of the sibur together, some of the things stays individual. It's not sibur, it's not uniform. And one of them is home. A leader that wants to build up all of the homes as a uniform, all homes to be the same, is criminal. That destroys home. Of course, every home has to keep Torah and mitzvot. We have 613 mitzvot. Every home has to keep it. But the way that they keep it, the way that we have to convey, and the way that we have to give the message, the way that the home has to be run, to motivate, to encourage, and to help out that the members of the home to be promoted, each person individually has to deal with his own home. That's why the mitzvah of mezuzah stays singular. The mitzvah of mezuzah doesn't stay plural. It's interesting. Zohar HaKadosh says there are 10 commandments or in Gilat Shema. And Zohar says, Uchtavtam is connected to Tachmot. Unbelievable. Uchtavtam mezuzah is connected to Tachmot. What does mezuzah has to do with Tachmot? Very interesting. What does Tachmot means? Don't be jealous. Torah is teaching us who is not jealous, who has a better home. When a person is content with his own home, with his own business, with his own wife, with his own children, he counts his own blessing, is happy and content, is not jealous. Somebody who doesn't have a good home, somebody is torn from home, somebody doesn't appreciate his home, doesn't count his own blessings, then he has problem with Tachmud also. Therefore, that's why Torah writes Uchtavtam as a singular form, and also then Torah also when Torah talks about education, V'limatem otam et benechem, and Torah says also over there, V'limatem otam benechem, you should teach them as a plural. Then the double bomb you should speak b'shivtecha, again singular. You should have said from the Dichtul of the Passover, V'limatem otam benechem, you should have said b'shivtechem, bebetechem, it says b'shivtecha. Just chas v'shalom. Two Jews cannot be uniform at home. They cannot wear the same uniform in your sitting, in your house, in your going and getting up. Chas v'shalom, two Jews to be the same. They can't be the same. Because a Jew has to see what's the atmosphere at home. According to home, he has to educate them. If the home is this way, whatever that is, promoting whatever that takes. Unbelievable, this sort of psychology of life, that even though that Torah is talking about the Parashat, that Sibur is harmonizing the Sibur together, but Torah tells us nevertheless some of the things stays as a singular form. We cannot make uniform. And that also is education at home. Each person, each father, each educator has to see what's the best education to give. So these two Parashot together are the 4 Kerubim in Beit HaMikdash. 2 Kerubim on top of Aaron, 2 Kerubim on the side. It doesn't make difference which cherub the person is. The most important thing is that our life we have to promote, to become Kedusha, and we too should know that we have a privilege to be one of these Kerubim that presents the Kedusha Hashem, presents the faith of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and presents all Avodah and service of Hashem.